Okay, jumping into it, we are here on the offense, starting out Winston on a composition. So, to start with, I'll give you a little bit of insight into our comms. Before this round started, I asked the team, what's the plan? Team in red. And they said, well, our plan is going to be to force out their tanks and then make this rotation through these stairs to secure high ground. And I said, okay, great, let's do that. And we roll out, we see they're on double shield instead of dive, and we make the same rotation anyway. Which does not work, because we cannot shoot their tanks and have them jump out, right? They're playing double shield. So it doesn't work quite the same way. So for adaptability, one thing that helps teams with in terms of like comms and adapting is when you're making a plan, you say, okay, our plan is going to look something like this, right? Let's say there Winston's playing here, right? We're going to shoot him, force him out. Once he leaves, we'll count down our DM, we'll DM across here, right? And then we'll make this rotation here. If they're on dive. That's what really helps with adaptation, is having that caveat. Like, oh, if they're on dive, find their Winston. And then they're not on dive, and we can't find their Winston because they don't have one. And you go, oh, okay, so now what are we doing? Instead of just saying, make this rotation, we say, make this rotation if they're on dive. They're not on dive, right? So then we don't make this rotation because it's not part of the plan. So once again, just from top down, we jump in, our Winston jumps out, or falls down rather, as he should. Our backline makes the rotation, but this is not a good spot for us. Yeah, not good for us, doesn't need really too much explaining. And they roll us over, right? Walking into next fight, the team knows what to do. We're not stupid. Maybe a little bit inflexible, right? So we go, okay, like, that plan didn't work. It shouldn't work, and we know that. So now, we're going to play it right. And we're going to soft dive. And notice our Ana never crosses choke. We're just playing for Nano. Our Brig is slightly out of position. But our Ana never crosses choke. We do end up farming Nano. And this looks much better. In fact, look, we even have the tracer pincer as well, which is really well done. So you have the tracer pincer. Our echo's a little low and isn't flying over the top to help this way. So we are missing that component. And right about now, we'd like to have our diva coming this way as well with our backline walking. Right, but yeah, keep in mind that caveat. Build that into your planning if you're struggling with team fight adapting. If they're on dive, we do this. And then they're not on dive. It's like, they're not on dive. Okay, just farm for Nano. Bam, done. What you see right here, instead of taking place at 2:42, it's taking place at like 3:30 instead. That's a little early, but you get the idea. Right, we get the pincer, we get the Winston in. Our Echo Diva are a little late, but we have the execution there. We have 2 kills. They try to clutch with Flux. Sorry, I need to respond to this text. Okay, we're chilling. Big Flux, doesn't matter. Our Primal runs out. Actually, I think if our Primal doesn't run out, our Winston dies. Because he was like 300 HP or something. And that is less than 500, but not less than 250. Not a bad thought by our Tracer. I'm just wondering why this is happening without recall. Ooh, nice. No, that's enough. That right there is enough. Stop there. This can't happen right here without recall or a Winston in front. Alright, the Tracer ends up getting close spawn anyway. But like, these two are still late. And if our Tracer Winston are like, if we're trying to take space, then our Tracer Winston can already be set up. But now we have to wait for our Tracer. Speaking of waiting, 2 of the best ways to break high grounds are Nano and Primal. We don't have either. So, once again, we can just farm for Nano, right? Soft dive, build some ultimates. We know that they used Window. We know that they made this swap. And then we probably think that these two right here are both at about 60-70%. Yeah, we just farm for nano here. At least that's what we should do. I don't know what we actually do. Okay, so this is not ideal, right? You'll notice, first of all, health bars are looking a little less than ideal. Then second, these two are both in fairly committed positions, and while our Winston is fine, we should be looking to our Winston as the tip of the spear, right? This guy should be the one who's in first, not necessarily outlast, but, you know, the one who's in first, leading the charge. So these two being low and ahead of our Winston is a little concerning. And then this distance between our Brig and our Ana is a little bit concerning. Especially where we should just be farming for nano. See, this is great right here if our Diva's here and our Echo is here in LOS of our Brig, for example. As long as we're tracking the Ashe, so we don't get shot and then ran on by their Tracer. Maybe Echo here and Tracer's over here instead. Something like that, right? Then this setup suddenly looks really good for us. That's the wrong button. This setup looks really good for us because they use Bongo, Winston jumps out, and if Winston's the furthest one in, and he can jump out, then we're fine, right? We get the Brig Bash on this Tracer, we kite their Bongo, we re-engage with Nano Boost, right? That's what we'd be looking to do. But because our Echo is so deep, our Echo's going to get run down. And our Diva does live, because we tuck in under high ground and they don't chase. Our Tracer's going to end up getting run down too. And then there goes our Brig as well, right? And just a little bit of a domino effect. They get one kill, they feel confident, they run us down. And you remember how at the beginning of this fight, they had just used Window, the previous fight. They just swapped to Diva, and these two are both at 60%. Now we're in a position where they can ult cycle us, if we don't execute this cleanly. Right, which means either we dry fight, and hope that they overcommit ultimates, right? Go for a pulse, maybe we eat it, maybe we dodge it. We nano onto high ground, they pop rally, they bob our backline, maybe they window even as well, from like further back here. Maybe they don't window, right? But we get out these three ultimates, and then they have these two for next fight, but we have primal and copy, and we can rally for our backline, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. Or we best case scenario, we just nano engage properly the previous fight. Play for nano, farm it, disengage their bongo, and then re-engage with our nano. Oh, I remember this. We'll talk about that in a second, that pull. Yeah, or we just overwhelm them with our ults, right? Nano Winston, going with copy, maybe copy their Diva. So we have 3 tanks on the front line, all of them with ultimates to give them a second life, and then rally for our backline. Okay, let's talk about pulls now for a second. Biggest counter to pull would be Diva, always. Diva can eat them, and sometimes more importantly, Diva can eat the follow-up, right? But there's a big wall right here between our Diva and our backline. I don't think there is necessarily a right answer between going this way and going this way. They achieve essentially the same thing. This way over here is way number B. The second way is a little bit faster. It's a little bit shorter. So it does have that going for it. But if our backline is looking to play like this area anyway, it's almost a moot point. But really the key thing is that our squishies are here and our Diva's here. That's the big thing that should be avoided. The other thing is expecting early pulls. It's going to happen. We need to be ready for it, both in terms of the Diva, but also just pulse bomb aside, right? An Ashe Dynamite there, and then the Tracer goes in for the 1 clip plus recall. Still confirms a kill. You don't even have to use an ultimate there. So it is something you need to be aware of. Okay. Tracer's dead. Ours is back. Winston is in. Once again, Winston should be leading this charge. Our Tracer isn't set up for a pincer. Or even, like... Wait, when did our Tracer die? Was our Tracer the one that died to the Pulse Bomb? No, both are DP. Oh, we just get hit by an unlucky headshot. Okay. Yikes. Our crossing an LOS happens. It is unfortunate that our Tracer's not set up here, because our Tracer can't do anything here, right? Ideally, we'd like our Tracer to be, like, heading up the elevator, or looping around back this way to put pressure on the BAP. Regardless, we do have this engagement. And I'm still at 2x speed. Okay, where did this Bob end up? Sleeping. Excellent. Okay, our backline's here. We die without using copy. Oh, we back out behind the shield. Okay, that is unfortunate. Okay. Try back here. This looks fine. We have our Nano Winston, who has the second life in the form of the Primal, right? Or he's about to. Our Diva's gonna have second life in terms of the bomb. Our Echo should have a second life in terms of the copy, right? So what we're going to want to do is Winston's here, space has been created. We want our Echo to go in, probably not from this same angle, but probably rather, especially where their Ashe is playing this high ground, right? This is why this is important, is there's no pressure from back here, right? There's no Ashe back here that we're worried about, which means we can do this kind of thing, which might take a little bit longer, but it doesn't matter. We want kills. Whether it happens as soon as our Winston jumps in or 2 seconds later, it doesn't matter. Having our Echo go around here, land some stickies on the Ashe or the Brig, and then copy the Diva, and then land up here, right? Go in, cycle the cooldowns with our Winston, who's creating space. Hopefully get a kill. If not, we all have a second life where we can continue to push. What's important is also we don't want to drop all of our ultimates here. Ideally, we'd like to save at least one of our frontline ultimates, right? We'd like to have at least these two, and probably Pulse Bomb for their recontest, right? Nano, Primal if we need to, copy as well, and then choke stuff with these other three ultimates, right? That is something to keep in mind on these Streets phase, is there's more than one fight you have to take. But right now, we're just trying to get our backline high ground. Which we have basically done. Run down the Ashe. Winston comes back to high ground. It's at this point we really need to be stabilizing here. Just controlling this high ground. Which we do. The Orisa finally dies. Nice. High ground secured. And we do still have copy. This fight is also taking longer than it should. Partially because in terms of just like a comms perspective, we have our backline trying to stabilize up here, and our Winston is off like chasing kills, so we never really get like a regroup. Obviously, focus fire is a lot better when before the fight you're like, hey guys, let's do exactly this, and if that doesn't work, do this, and if that doesn't work, do this, and let's really try to kill their Zen. Your focus fire is going to be a lot better than if you're mid-fight, comms are hectic, you're trying to peel for your Ana, you're like, hey, kill this person, and someone else is busy taking a duel just for the, like, to live. That's part of like stabilizing on this high ground, is getting back on the same page, not just regaining resources, but getting back on the same page. Okay, the Tracer did live behind us. We need to keep that in mind, and that is actually the main reason why we're extremely slow with this choke stuff. All right, their Reese is just sitting here. Their Ashe is just sitting here. The map even walks out the wrong way. He walks out this doorway in front of the shields, and no one's here. Our Tracer's chasing their Tracer. Our Echo, well, someone has to push cart, right? But our Echo's turned away. Ideally, we'd have our Tracer on cart, which would allow our Echo to be somewhere ready to fight. But we do just give them a lot of space, and we'd rather have our Winston cleaving at a tight choke point, like here, or on this corner here, than retaking into this setup that's about to get a Brig. Right, see, so this here, yeah, this right here, this will be, I think, best seen from their Briggs perspective. They're set up now. Briggs here, Baps here, Ashe, Orisa, they're all here. They're set up. And our Winston's like, all right, guys, we're here, we're ready. Bam, goes in, whip shot. The amount of value that our Winston can get, it was just reduced astronomically. As opposed to if instead of whip shotting the jump, our Winston is already here, which means they have to push into him instead of our Winston pushing in, and it also means we can save jump to jump out. But now our Winston is in no man's land, getting no value. This Brig gets to turn for free because there's no pressure on the front line. Even the BAP is turning around. No one cares about our Winston because we're not choke stuffing. Tracer has no recall. We have no jump, no bubble. We've gotten nothing, right? Oh, pulse bomb on the high ground as well. That's another thing, is if we're choke stuffing here, our Winston and our DPS can take care of that. Or our Winston and one of our DPS, rather. While one pushes car, and our D.Va can stay high ground to care about this, the Tracer that is behind. Orisa. So, I talk a lot about how we could be getting more value. So, you saw what a bad setup looked like, or I'll actually like draw out what a good setup would look like. Okay. Pretend they're Baptiste. This is the first thing. Baptiste is not here. Nor is Ashe. Baptiste and Ashe are both back here. Here's the Bap. Here's the Ashe, right? They're both back there already. Or not already. They haven't walked out yet. Our Winston is here where the Orisa is, which means the Orisa is also back here, right? We control all of this space. Our Ana is up here. This color's not going to work because we actually have people up here. In fact, I'm not even going to use this, right? Our Winston's here. Their entire backline, actually, their entire team, right? Here's their backline. Here's their Orisa, right? That's where they're set up. Our Winston's here. Ana, they're not running dive, and we want our Brig to be in between the pressure on our Ana and everything else. So the Brig is going to be more like back here, because we're not worried about anything coming in from the front. Maybe a little bit closer, worried about dynamite, whatever. And then our D.Va somewhere on this high ground as well. This positioning I'm not too particular about. Then our Tracer's going to be the one on cart. And then Tracer has pulse bomb, actually. I'm kind of looking at this. Tracer or Echo. I think these positions are interchangeable right here. Where we're set up for this pincer. Echo, of course, can, when they actually do walk out, and cart's about here. I don't know why I changed colors midway through. Run it back. Apologies. I don't know where the color change came in. Right. That's our Ana. That's an A, right? Brig, D.Va, Tracer, Echo, Tracer, Echo. And their Orisa's here, backline's here. All right, so they haven't walked out yet. So what's key about this is once cart pushes up somewhere around here, our Echo will be in a position to fly over the top when with our Winston already applying pressure here, and our Tracer can come around this way. Or our Tracer can blink around this way while our Echo just goes this way, right? You can see where this is sort of interchangeable. Either one can go either way. So it's a little bit whatever. I think Echo on cart in this instance is probably better because Tracer going through here is a little bit longer than just dropping from here as Tracer. And there's also the small note that this is a better spam angle for the Echo. So that's nice. Just spamming the shield as they walk out, or spamming this doorway here, and then flying up over the top for the copy. But this is essentially what you're gonna want your setup to look like. I raised the wrong ones. Tracer here, Echo here. Right, you'll have something like this, which really applies pressure to the chokes here. It doesn't let their bat Brig out, right? So this is what you'd be looking at. This is what your typical choke stuff across almost any map would look like, is a setup somewhat like this. Okay, we already kind of watched our Winston get rolled. Bonk. Tracer forced out. Ariana gets pulsed. We don't have the ultimates to finish out this fight. This fight is essentially as good as lost. If our copy gets value and we have rally and primal, maybe. We just give them a lot of space. Okay, we've kind of covered the fundamentals of choke stuffing as well as this basic nano engagement. So the rest of this should go a bit quicker. Our Diva's still dead. Care pull. Our Tracer had better be getting packs here. Not here. Here. Because their Tracer's in here as well. Yeah, pack effect is there. That's good. This was good. I quite like this engage. I'm going to go back to just before the bomb explodes. This is how you can structure a bomb engage. This is an excellently placed bomb. So with this bomb, you have two options, right? You can't stay here on this high ground. You can't. Which means option number one is you back. Option number two is you go forward. The problem with backing is we secure high ground. Done. Dusted. The other problem is you don't break LOS by going backwards unless you drop. And if you drop, fight's almost... It should be done. We should be able to clean up after that just by using the high ground. Or you go forward, which sometimes won't work anyway, if you're the Orisa. And then sometimes you're that Ashe, right? So that's a really nice bomb engage. Winston's in first. Bomb follows. Chase these staggers. Shouldn't lose anyone here. 3 cart, 3 cart. I mean, help our guy, but... Okay, they have to go for this. They walk out and bob. They do have some nice ultimates. Burn Bob. Not bad. A little overzealous on the ultimates, but where it is Streets phase, I would rather overinvest here than underinvest, because if we lose this fight here, we are going to lose, regardless of how many ults we save. So this isn't bad. Okay, I think this is a good primal here. I think this is necessary. Our Winston looks low. I don't know about the rally, though. I'm looking at this armor, and I don't really see it doing much. But again, rather overinvest than underinvest. And this should just be clean up. We shouldn't lose anybody. Okay. Okay, Orisa comp. Once again, we have essentially 2 tools to dislodge, especially for high ground, right? These 2. We don't have either. We are somewhat close to nano boost. We also have copy. Okay. Which we can use to maybe bait out some of their ults and then re-engage with nano. Oh, no way to go. Oh no, the pull doesn't even come back in. Interesting. Happens. Well played by them. Good setup by their Tracer. The only thing I could like maybe say is Diva scout high ground against this kind of composition where they do have this is more brawly than what we're running, so we could maybe have like Diva scout high ground, but I think really just well played by them. I don't look at that and say that we played something fundamentally wrong. Even if Diva does scout that, there's still a really good chance we lose mech, and then they have a chance to stagger too, and we leave our Winston on cart, which is also not ideal. Back out. We got their Tracer, which means they can't push us. They cannot push us without their Tracer. We just need to live. Like, hard live. Like this. Don't. Diva walking out this way. Not good. Literally just leave through this doorway. Peace out. Leave. Gone. What are they rallying for? What are we nanoing for? I don't like this. Mongo's still going. Okay. This works out, but it shouldn't. First of all, why? Why are you here? This is not good. Their brig should not be here. If their brig is here, these guys have rally armor. Or if the brig's up top, these guys up here get rally armor, which means nano engage doesn't do anything without some extreme burst damage. Our echo's at the front because I don't expect our echo to do this, right? That's really time consuming, hard to set up. They have bongo going, right? Which means we're going to be staring down into an Orisa shield and perhaps a diva as well. If this team is playing this properly, they're stacked up here. Especially without a tracer to really contest off angles. So if they're Orisa, or if they're diva and brig are up top, this doesn't work. And even if they are lower, which we can recognize, right? We can get that information. If this lamp isn't late, this still probably does not go too well for us. I also don't know if we knew where the diva was. I'll be real. Okay, we do. We do see the diva. We do see the brig. Okay. I'm going to operate under the assumption, because I don't actually remember, but I'm going to assume that we called that the brig and diva were lower. And where the brig and diva are lower, this works. Our echo shouldn't die, which is actually something I'm going to look at, because I think the reason our echo dies is because of lack of understanding of a macro concept. Yeah, this here, look at our Winston. Our Winston needs to back, right? No bubble, needs to reload, half HP. There's a Cowboy and a Baptiste who do a lot of damage. This is your ebb and flow, right? We flowed, we nanoed, we engaged, right? We got our kills, but kills does not replenish our Winston's resources. It just doesn't. That's not how that works. Which means now our Winston ebbs just a little bit. Not to the extent that they use an ultimate, but just a little bit to get our HP and our resources back, and our Echo is not on the same page as that. Bonk bonk, dead. Also, nice pincer by their diva, coming from lower, flying up, right? That was a nice little pincer. Okay. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Yeah, we're gonna go up here. We can kind of see. We're playing from over here, gives you LOS here, while you have a corner blocking all the way through here, right? That red line's really hard to see, or that black line rather, it's really hard to see. Oh, she's blue. Where you have like all of this blocked by this wall, we're giving you LOS here, whereas standing here is just a straight LOS, but this corner doesn't block anything. It just doesn't. And this is how like any choke LOS works. Basic FPS concept, right? Is crossing the looking across a choke instead of on your same side isolates the angle, right? The only angle you're exposed to is Ana here. If you're peeking from here, is right here. This is all you can see. That's all that can see you. Whereas if you're on the same side looking, everything can see you. Just basic FPS concept. So crossing here is hard, and I wouldn't just walk across a choke in front of a Hanzo. But if we like coordinate DM or go this way, this is much shorter. Like whoop, crossed, right? The Hanzo has like a second. Without Sonic Arrow and perfect timing, the Hanzo simply doesn't have a chance. And then we get this angle instead on our Winston. But a little bit more micro. Unfortunate that our Ana died. We should catch their BAP. This is risky. Okay, yeah, we definitely need to talk about stabilization a little bit, because we struggled with it on second, stabilizing on this high ground and regaining our focus fire. Keep in mind this ebb and flow, and also getting on the same page again. Lost diamond again. No way! Come on, Simon, you're better than that. You could be masters if you wanted to. Just click head's forehead. I played Widow the other day, by the way. Popped off. You'd be proud of my Widow gameplay. Fled a deadlift. Anyway, really need to talk about stabilization here. Right. Talked about our Echo a little bit here. This is fine. We have resources for this. And then if our Ana crosses choke properly, and we heal here, don't die to the Hanzo. This is fine. At this point, we can't go further. Our back line is not as fast as our front line. Right? Pretend our Ana's alive. Right? Pretend with me for a second. Smiley face. Right? Ana is alive and well. Full HP. This distance is fine in the open. But there's like 14 things in the way. Or like in between our Ana and our Winston. Not to mention the threat of like their Hanzo or their Bap or their Cowboy, right? Like there's so many things that can go wrong here. We need to get back on the same page and structure another engagement. And the best way to recognize this is just like when a fight goes long, right? We always have the pre-fight planning where it's like, okay, I'll mana you and we'll jump their high ground and we'll get our backline up there. What comes after? This is what comes after. Stabilize. Winston. Hold like here or here. Not here, actually. Your Ana can't see you here. Hold here, right? Where your Ana can see you, heal you, get your cooldowns back, right? Get your Echo back from spawn, who's currently respawning, right? And then structure another engagement, get D.Va healed up, right? Pressure high ground maybe, get an Echo Tracer, flanker pincer through one of these angles, right? Set up another engagement. New fight plan, new ultimates. It is technically possible to just play at an extremely high tempo and just go. But part of that is recognizing resources and realizing Ana's back here, Winston's up here, we don't have an Echo, and we do have cooldown cycles. Part of playing at a high tempo is using cooldown cycles the moment they come up. We don't have cooldowns, we don't have people, we don't have map control, and then we don't have a plan, right? Which means breaking into this part of the map is going to be difficult. So, Nanomi, I'll go high ground. We'll get our backline set up in this case. On this corner, right? D.Va push cart. Okay, what comes next? We don't have a plan. Stabilize, right? Engagement. Taking map control. Stabilize, right? That's what we need to be doing. So we don't end up having this happen. Right. If we coordinate properly, by the way, this map is so 1 HP. And I think our D.Va probably has boosters at least most of this time. Boosters. D.Va has boosters. Why is our D.Va not flying up here? Because it's not calmed. It's not planned. We're not ready for this, right? Like, this isn't something we can execute. If we're the best team in the world, and we have Primal, maybe. Did our Echo just get borderline spawn camped by a D.Va? Oh my god, Pong. Pong actually typed exclamation mark. Wait, would you like a VOD review of your Widow? Nah. I'm chilling. Not trying to play Widow. Yeah, and then stuff like this happens. That's another thing, part of stabilizing, is things like that happen. Okay, that's the big takeaway I have from our offense, I think, is adaptability, right? If they're on dive, force out Winston, make this rotation. Then when it comes up that they're not on dive, we go, oh, you remember that plan? It started with the words, if they're on dive, and they're not, so we're not going to do that. And the other thing is, for breaking high grounds, this is a very basic concept, but these are your two best ultimates to do it. Right, so if they have X comp, use Nano and or Primal to take high ground. Choke stuff is extremely important. Extremely important. You need to go choke stuff. We went over the setup for that. And then fourth is stabilizing, right? Make sure, okay, here's the plan. Here's the map control / rotation that we're going to make. And then stabilize after. Okay, let's take a look. So, this time, we call this, by the way, okay, if they're on dive, do this. If they're on double shield, do this. If they're on brawl, do this. And a lot of those overlap, and teams will get better at it over time. Like, for example, for double shield and brawl, barring a Symmetra, they're almost have the same amount of immobility and exploitability. Right, where they have the BAP, they have some stationary DPS usually. Sometimes you'll get like a Tracer instead of a Mei, which I think is really good. And obviously there'll be a Brig, which means less mobility but more staying power. But it almost functions the same in that like your Ana's not under pressure. We do call this... I am interested to see. I immediately noticed that our Tracer's set up, but it looks like we don't get any pressure on their Baptiste. Yeah, they rotate through this way. So I think probably what allows our Winston to go a little bit further is defense matrix. If we have DM a little tighter here, suddenly we're not worried about this guy, this guy, this guy, or this guy. None of them matter. This guy can swing, this guy can freeze. That's it. That's all we're worried about. Which means as long as our Winston jumps out before the freeze, we're fine, right? So we get a little bit closer, get DM over our guy, get damage on their BAP, Tracer shows up. Look where their Diva's looking. The Diva's not doing air. Okay, DMing heals, right? But really not doing much. In fact, missing. We could still heal our Winston here. He's above the DM. Right, but the Diva's not doing anything. So if we have DMing literally half their team. Damage on the BAP. Tracer's here. Diva's looking the wrong way. This is either a one clip or a lamp forced. Don't care which. I do care which. Obviously the one clip is better. But no damage comes on the Baptiste because we don't DM our Winston, but the Mei kind of feeds. Alright. So, Winston walks in, Diva needs to walk in as well, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna bother making a drawing, but Diva walks in, or Winston walks in, Diva walks in. You can both fly, essentially. Mei feeds. Tracer still set up on the flank. I don't like that jump down. You can just stay on these stairs where no one can touch you. Our Echo could have also been a little bit more aggressive at cutting them off. They do still have their Cassidy and their Baptiste and their Diva, so we are a little worried, but we could have gotten a little more charge out of that, I think. Okay, we almost have Nano. That's what we're waiting for. That's what we're looking for. Okay, talking about choke stuffing. This is a fairly good setup. Our Tracer's a little far away, which I think comes partially from lack of info. I think our Diva should be up here, where we have a little bit more info. This is a nice easy drop, and our Diva should take damage before our Winston can even be seen, which means our Ana has plenty of time to heal it up. So not worried about that, but Diva should scout, so our Tracer, instead of being here, can be here, significantly closer, or even walk this way, doesn't matter, right? But can be closer and more relevant to the play. But this setup looks great. Echo's also a little far back, not sure why. But we have the setup for the choke stuff. We make this rotation a little late, but we do it fairly quickly. When we're rotating, Winston, you can't take damage. You can't. Because now your Ana has to sit here and heal you. If your Ana does not heal you, you're going to die. Or not have resources, right? We do end up coordinating that fairly well. That little engagement. But keep in mind, when your Ana's rotating, calling that rotate, don't take damage. Don't take poke. Don't try to stage, scout, anything. Don't. It's not worth it. I remember that. That was unfortunate. I do kind of want to see this back, though. Yeah. Always call holding. And more importantly than that, always call pulled. Or drew, or shot. Always, always, always. And if you don't hear that, assume he's holding, right? That's the more important one, is assume he's holding until someone says otherwise, and don't trust DM. Because DM will run out, or it'll miss, like, your pinky toe, and you'll die. It's absurd. And in the meantime, like, what is it? Assume this Deadeye gets eaten, or gets dropped, right? What extra value does our Ana get by being here? Almost none, right? Quite frankly. We have Nano Primal. I'm really not too worried about, like, our Winston needing heals, and we're nading into a Rhine Shield and a Defense Matrix in the same angle, and a window. So really not worth it. And now, they disengage quite nicely. Oh, shoot the BAP, shoot the BAP. Nice. And we should be fine now. Oh, our Brig gets frozen. Let's talk about stabilizing on the defense. Because I see this, where they kite, right? And they do it quite nicely. but we do get 2 kills. There's one. There's the second. Right now, this fight is won if we don't throw. I wouldn't say this is a throw, but this kind of thing will happen. We'll be like, oh, we're up 2. Until we're not anymore, right? So part of the stabilizing is on the defense. The best way to stabilize is there's 2 ways. One is to use an ultimate, which doesn't always work. It depends on the ultimate. Nano boost is a good one. Bomb is a good one. Primal's a good one. Copy's okay. Rally isn't great unless you can disengage for like 2 seconds. Not very long at all. Like 2 seconds, just enough to make sure A, you're alive, and B, you can let the armor build up. But those are going to be the ultimates you look to stabilize. You'll notice of all of the ones I highlighted, we don't have any of them, which means the other way is to give up ground. In this case, ticks, right? Give 1 tick. Look where our Ana is. If our Echo stays here or walks up the stairs, instead of walking forward, this guy doesn't get a chance to shatter, right? So yeah, like our Winston's backed to go get healed, right? If our Echo backs as well, and our D.Va makes sure that she doesn't get focus fired while the rest of us are kiting, and Tracer, I don't know, goes and chills here while we wait, great. Give up 1 tick. 1 tick. Maybe none if our Tracer has full cooldowns, which we don't. Or we give mech for no ticks. But giving space, right? Ultimate to stabilize, or give space. No way, man. This point is just more of we needed to stabilize. Do we end up losing this? I think we do. Oh yeah, our break gets crunched. Yep. We don't stabilize. So another way to contextualize stabilizing on an individual level, because I talked about it at a macro level, where you have your plan, right? And here's the ultimates we want to use. Here's where we want to go and like get our backline set up. What kind of space we want to take, who we want to jump on, those kind of details. After that is done, right? We have nanoed. Our backline is up here. What are we doing after? Well, we probably haven't talked about it, which means now's a good time to stabilize. Another way to think about it from an individual level is cooldown cycles. Brig, that's a big line. Brig, when you're low on armor packs, maybe need to stabilize. It's not the best indicator, but that is something. Echo, you cycle cooldowns once, maybe twice, sometimes 3 times, depending on the nature of the fight and how spammy we're playing. But every time you cycle cooldowns, ask yourself, do we need to stabilize? Or can I just keep shooting? Maybe stabilize, right? Winston, cooldown cycle, fairly obvious. JJ and I talked about this the other day, actually. Shadow Thief, or D.Va, rather, I should say. Same goes for you, right? Micro missiles, DM's low, health is low, you don't have boosters. Do you need to stabilize? In fact, for D.Va, boosters is one of the best indicators of at least change of playstyle for you, or maybe you go in with your Winston, and now you have boosters again, or you're about to, and you go, where do I apply my boosters? Do I fly back to my backline? Do I push forward? Do I drop to cart? Like, where do you go with your boosters? So every time you use boosters, how are you using them? Cooldown cycles, critical. Actually, that's the big thing, is when when a lot of your teammates are critical, that's a great time to call, hey guys, we need to stabilize. Because your ammo is actually your most important resource, as opposed to your cooldowns. Tracer, same thing, recall, cooldown cycles, right? Paying attention to your cooldown cycles is a great way to know whether to stabilize. Oh yeah, all the way out, don't go for that. Especially May just cryos. Or walks back to cart, and we need our Echo to be able to recontest here. Okay, pop quiz. What ultimates do we use to take high ground when playing Winston comp? Nano and Primal, we have both, right? But that just gets us in the door. That's all I talked about, actually, is just getting in the door. Nano Winston up here gets us in the door. What do we do after? We need follow-up, right? Rally to brawl, pulse bomb maybe. We saw the great D.Va bomb engage earlier. That's another thing we can do. Or copy, right? But something needs to follow up. Winston gets us in the door. I don't know what this guy was thinking. No lamp, no wall, no high noon. He's on low ground. First of all, I don't know why this guy dies. I don't know why our Tracer isn't looking for this. He just kind of walks away slowly. But even though he does walk away slowly, he's out of the fight and D.Va's on cart. We have a 6v4. They don't have lamp. We're in great shape. Happens. Don't land high ground, D.Va. If your Winston gets booped, you need to get out. We're playing follow the Winston. Okay, we're up here now. Echo's a little late again. I'd say Echo, you could probably be a little bit earlier when following Winston. That's for Jay specifically. That's our Echo player here. Okay. We're somewhat split now. We're okay. They're more split than we are, and our comp functions better split anyway. But if we do end up split, Ana and Brigitte, it's mostly up to you to get the team back together by calling either a position, like main, or mega, or high ground, or inside the saloon, right? By calling a position, or calling play with Winston, or play with your Ana, or stack on rally, right? Calling something like that gets people's attention, right? Our D.Va's over here remeching. Where's our D.Va gonna go after? I don't know. There's three options. There's the Ana, there's the rally, there's the Winston, right? I have no idea where our D.Va's gonna go. But having a call will make so our D.Va knows where to go. What's D.Va doing up here? Currently nothing. Bad spot? Not necessarily. But there was a Baptiste over here who is dead. But if the map wasn't dead, is kind of what I'm getting at. Calling a position like that really help us stabilize. No way we wake up the D.Va. Help our Brig. Brig lives. We should not need to primal here. I think both of our DPS died at some point. Yeah, both our DPS are coming back. Which makes our cleanup a little bit slow. Which is okay, by the way. Cleaning up slowly is fine. The longer it takes on defense, the better. We build more ultimates, we burn more time off their clock. Oh. Yeah, I remember JJ called that he was feeding. Okay. At this point, we have no Winston for whatever reason. I don't care. Solo chatter. High noon. Doesn't matter. We have no Winston. We have two options and two options only, right? This is basic ebb and flow. They are flowing. They have a pick, right? Which means we either meet them with an ultimate. We only have one, and they have 3, 4. Or we just back up, right? That's it. That's our two options. There are some nuances to backing up, like feigning like you're playing forward and then backing out. The classic example being Winston being forward and then just jumping out immediately. Maybe they walk with high noon and he's jumping out before the Cassidy even presses Q. But this doesn't. Nah, that D.Va booster right there. That's fighting, right? That's contesting the high ground. We're also all staying up here. We can't stay up here. It's not possible. Look where our Winston is. Remember what I said about Winston being the spearhead? Doesn't work when our Winston is in the back line, right? Keep kiting, keep kiting. Maybe we can help our Echo. We can. Okay, this is what we need. Stabilize. You remember the ultimates we can use to stabilize with? Nano's one of them. This is good. These 3 here should be able to secure at least a couple kills. But when we do this, we'll take a look at this from our honest perspective. We do need to look to back. From right here, we can see big scary German man and person who makes big scary German man go fast. Also, don't kite this way. Kiting this way basically delays the inevitable, almost. You can kite this way while calling for help. You're not getting help from these guys all the way over here. I also don't think we should chase past high ground. Yeah, this drop right here. Okay, we get the BAP. But if our backline does kite, wherever they live, our Winston's now isolated. If we just stay high ground and then like drop here, bubble, isolate the front line, brawl in with our brig, that's a lot better. All right, so we'll take a look at what this should look like. High ground controlled. Echo should be a little bit sooner here. I don't know whether or not our Echo had fly. If not, pay attention to how you're using it as opposed to like syncing it up with your Winston jumps. I have nightmares about big scary German man and his minion that makes him go fast. I mean, I would too. Okay, yeah, so here, the Cassidy should have died a lot quicker if our Echo either is syncing up fly with our jump or going a little bit earlier, jumps a little bit faster, but then stay here. Don't chase past this high ground, because this is what is happening to your backline. But, oops, if our backline, that's the one, if our backline does live, right, kiting, however, sooner, better, have rally, whatever, and then we come back and bubble here and brawl, we kill all three of these guys and then walk cart with our backline instead of ending up alone on cart without our backline. That's a stabilizing nano, to be clear. This is not an engagement nano. We control a lot of space, a lot of high ground. We don't. We're also down our tracer. For curiosity's sake. No, we do not have fly. Yeah, they control a lot more space. This nano's just to stabilize. So much so that a solo diva might have even been the play to force out the Kree. Well, we just nano Winston isolate their front line. Also, all of this could have been avoided if A, our Winston didn't feed, or B, we kited high ground when our Winston did feed. That's another thing to think about. But stabilizing regardless is an important concept. Okay, so it gets a little wacky here. We're gonna speed run through this because we stay on tracer, which is fine by the way. But we don't have like high noon to take space or a lot of our typical macro things. But we will kind of take a look at positioning more than anything. Then it gets run down. Ryan gets run down. Alright, we have to hold here. Bad wall by them. We force lamp. We're a little sloppy with kiting. I immediately notice we're a little bit sloppy. Pay attention especially to our Baptiste positioning and our Lucio's positioning. Alright, so our Lucio's here on this angle, which means there's no speed over here. And then, so that's the first thing. That's for our Lucio. Be with the team. Second is our Baptiste ends up over, like, we're trying to kite this way, essentially. Either to, like, shorter kite or longer kite, right? These would be the two. Baptiste is taking neither of them, or just kind of running out into the open, exposed to an off angle, right? Instead of being tucked in behind our tanks. Keep that in mind. This is not... We don't want to, like this, there's no corner here. We want to be stacked on this corner. Bomb to stabilize, we kind of talked about that. We do end up hacking all the way, but we could have done it faster, cleaner, had speed boost, bap tighter in with the formation. Nice shield on the tracer. We recognize we're still kind of low on cooldowns. We play here, bait wall. Nice eat. Decent disengage as well. We use aim for that, yeah? No, we don't. Wall. Still kiting. This is fine. They're using ultimates. We're not. We're also burning time off the clock. And now we re-engage with Shatter. Fairly typical. If we don't need that Blizzard, though, we're in a bit of a sticky situation. Okay, we're no longer holding choke, which I think is the wrong call, by the way. I think we could definitely look to hold choke because it sets our tracer up quite nicely. This is really easy for their diva to mark, whereas trying to go through this choke against a Mei becomes a lot less easy because we wall, and the D.Va's afraid of Blizzard, and our Tracer's vibing over here completely unchecked. Right, we give him a lot of space. This is a great like spam angle for like a Hanzo. We're on Tracer. This beat is too early. That's we haven't. There's two things we want to do for this beat. One, we want to have already taken the tiniest smidgen of damage, because then we can get healed under the beat. That's one thing. And another thing is, I shouldn't draw like that. We'll draw it like this. The distance between these two Reinhardts is too big. We need our Reinhardt to be brawling with the beat, not walking in with the beat. I'm not worried about our Reinhardt getting shot a couple times on the way in. I'm worried about our Reinhardt being able to free swing. Our Reinhardt is not swinging right now. I mean, he is, but he's not hitting anything, right? So by the time our Rein is here, some of the beat is already worn off. And he's shielding there. By the time he's here, most of the beat is already worn off. And by the time he's gotten one swing off, the entire beat is gone. That beat enabled one swing, which is the equivalent of defense matrix. That's about it. Beat needs to come later. Turn D.Va, turn D.Va, turn D.Va. Yeah, they had a nice disengage. Turn on these guys that are caught. That's fine. We got Mei. That's ambitious. Back, back, back. We have no shield. We have no shield, no lamp. Back, back, back. All the way. All the way. Keep going. Where's our Lucio? Oh no. Yikes. Lucio position behind Reinhardt. Rein typically informs your positioning. I wouldn't even bomb here. Yeah, no, not a good bomb. Here's the thing. We're down our Lucio, and Cart is at the beginning of point C. Just lose this fight. They use High Noon and Window. They still have Shatter, they still have these ultimates, right? But we'll at least have Bomb. We just use Shatter like spawn camping, right? We'll have Bomb, Pulse Bomb. Well, that's it. But Bomb would allow us to like touch Cart more confidently. Maybe Turbo went with our Tracer. We could look for a Bomb engage. I don't like looking for a Bomb engage, especially when our ult track probably says that they have Blizzard right now. Why are we pushing? We're literally pushing 3v6. Oh, I think our Tracer calls spawn camping. Okay, this makes more sense. I was like, why are we pushing? Alright, this is making really good use of the Tracer, by the way. There's 3 people, 2 of whom are supports, right? So it's like, oh, well, like there's 3 of us here, and then there's also only 3 of them. So it's actually a 3v3, and our guys are going to be here in relevant positioning a lot sooner. We forced a lot of resources doing this. As long as our Tracer lives. Unlucky. We also get a little too aggressive, I think. We can take space with this. I would not push past a position you wouldn't hold normally. Definitely don't push past like this corner here. And I wouldn't even necessarily like recommend holding that corner. But the fact is, there's no Cowboy, which means there's no damage behind the Reinhardt. You also don't have a Baptiste, which means there's even less damage behind your Reinhardt, and no healing, and no lamp to bail you out. So this gets risky, right? We lose our Mei, our Rein gets flashed because our D.Va's late. Now our Rein's low, and getting frozen, and we waste lamp. Now we're in a really, really, really bad spot. Tracer has 3 on them, yes, take space. But we can't do a lot with this space, right? We force out the Mei wall, and the Mei has to run. That's fine. Like, that's about it. Like, we really can't do a lot more with that. 3v3. Okay, that about wraps it up. They do full cap, right? Yeah. Yeah, they full cap. Okay. So essentially, the fundamentals for this are going to be when planning team fights. Remember, if they are on dive, lead with that. If they're on dive, do this. If they're on double shield, do this. Whatever you're expecting, lead with that. As your team gets better, you'll be better at like recognizing fundamentals. So going into this, you'll say, if they're on dive, force out the Winston, then make this rotation. Then when they're on double shield, you already know what to do, so you don't actually have to say it out loud in your like pre-round planning. Second thing, Nano Primal, great for taking high ground. Once we do, that brings me to my third point, stabilize, right? We have our plan, like what ultimates we want to use, and what who we want to jump on, or like what map control we want to take. Once we've done that, stabilize. And part of stabilizing, that'll be like point 3A, is pay attention to your cooldown cycles, right? Bubble, recall, flight, boosters, are people critical? That's a good one for support, right? Pay attention to that. Be willing and ready to call stabilize, or at least resync with your teammates yourself. Third thing, on Winston comps, absolutely must choke stuff. Have to, must. If we let their Brig and BAP get set up, we lose. Must choke stuff. I think that's most important. That's the most important things. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub on the YouTube, drop a follow on the Twitch. I will be back next weekend with another one of these. If you have any questions, post them down below in the comments. I'll reply to all of them. Thank you guys very much. I hope to see you in the next one.